Why did medieval people put animals on trial? Imagine walking into a medieval courtroom. A judge is seated at the front. Lawyers are arguing. Witnesses are being questioned. The proceedings are formal and serious. And standing before the court is a pig. This sounds like a scene from a comedy, but animal trials really did happen in medieval and early modern Europe. Pigs, dogs, horses, rats, insects, and other creatures appear in surviving legal and ecclesiastical records. Some animals were imprisoned, some were executed, and pests could even be formally ordered to leave an area. But why? The answer is stranger, and more complicated, than simply saying medieval people were superstitious. When an animal became a criminal, one of the clearest reasons for an animal trial was violence. If a domestic animal killed or seriously injured a person, medieval authorities sometimes treated the incident as a matter for the courts. A famous example occurred in France in 1457. A sow at Savigny was accused of killing a 5-year-old child. The sow was condemned to death, while 6 piglets were also investigated. The piglets were ultimately spared because the court did not have enough evidence to establish that they had participated in the attack. That detail is important. The court was not simply killing every animal associated with the incident. It was attempting, within its own strange framework, to determine responsibility. There are records of other pigs being prosecuted for attacking humans, including a case at Falaise in 1386. To modern eyes, the idea of putting a pig before a judge seems absurd. To the people involved, however, something serious had happened. A human being had died. Someone, or something, was responsible, and the community expected justice. But how could an animal be guilty? Medieval Europeans did not necessarily think about animals in exactly the same way we do today. Animals were part of a world understood through law, religion, hierarchy, and divine order. Humans occupied a special position in Christian theology, but animals were still meaningful creatures within God's creation. People could therefore interpret unusual or dangerous animal behavior through religious and moral ideas. There was also a practical problem. If a pig killed a child, you couldn't exactly put the pig in prison for years or demand compensation from it. So a legal proceeding could serve another purpose, publicly acknowledging the offense and restoring a sense of order. The animal could be captured, confined, judged, and punished. The spectacle told the community that what had happened had not simply been ignored. Justice had been done. And then there were the rats. The strangest cases were not always about violence. Sometimes the accused animals were pests. Rats and insects could destroy crops, threatening the food supply of entire communities. Church courts sometimes became involved in these cases. In 1522, rats in the French region around Autun were reportedly summoned before an ecclesiastical court after damaging crops. The lawyer Barthélemy de Chasseneuil became associated with the case and reportedly argued on behalf of the rats. Why would anyone bother? Because the problem was very real. A medieval farmer whose crops were destroyed by insects or rodents could face hunger or financial ruin. There was no modern pesticide industry, no pest control company, and no scientific understanding of ecology comparable to ours. When conventional methods failed, religious and legal rituals could become another way for a community to respond. The church could fight pests in its own way. Some insect cases took a particularly religious form. In 1478, seed beetles in Switzerland were accused of damaging crops. The Bishop of Lausanne became involved, and the insects were ordered to leave the affected territory. This wasn't necessarily a courtroom drama with a beetle sitting in the defendant's chair. Ecclesiastical proceedings against pests could involve formal declarations, prayers, and orders of banishment or excommunication. In other words, the goal wasn't really to teach a beetle about morality. It was an attempt to confront a disaster using the religious and legal tools available to medieval society. So did medieval people really believe a pig understood the law? Not necessarily. This is where the popular version of the story can become misleading. Modern retellings sometimes make animal trials sound as though medieval Europeans routinely believed pigs and rats possessed exactly the same moral consciousness as humans. The surviving evidence is more complicated. Different kinds of proceedings existed, and historians have questioned some of the stories repeated in older collections of animal trials. What we can say with confidence is that genuine cases existed, and that they reveal something fascinating about medieval society. Thank you for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you liked the video, and subscribe for more content. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below.